So yesterday this came down. 10 small to mid-sized banks had their credit ratings downgraded by Moody's. We also got the inflation numbers this morning, 3.2% year over year. Below the expectations of 3.3, not good. Wanted to get the thoughts and the reaction from our friend Mark Falter as he joins us on KCMO Talk Radio, host Retirement Income Hour, Saturday and Sunday mornings at 9 with Mid-American Wealth Advisory Group here in town. Mark, let's just start with the downgrading of the banks. Obviously, Kansas City-based Commerce Bank was on that list. People see banks, they see downgrades, they get a little nervous. Should they be?
Okay, so one thing I want to relay to people is if you look at Moody's, which Moody is the one, of course, that downgraded them, there are 10 notches in investment grade. They got knocked down one notch, meaning they were like the highest, and they got knocked down one notch, meaning they could go 9 more and still be investment grade. Not saying that we would want to buy them at 9 more, but point is, we got a long ways to go before they're really looking at bankruptcy. I think that the fact that Silicon Valley went under and FDIC got them out, people are going to have a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction. I will say, I don't know that I would keep more than $250,000 in a bank at this point. I would say that, but I don't think we have to be worrying about immediate bank failures. But I do think it's not done yet. I think we're going to see some more bank failures.
Now, when you say that $250,000, you mean put it somewhere else, though. You don't mean stuff it under the stick it under the bed.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Okay.
But no, put it in another bank. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was reading an article last night on regional banks. Unfortunately, they're going to start getting hit too because it's they're just too small. It's just a bad time to be small right now, and I think you're going to see a lot of consolidation between banks. But as I said, I think this is not the end. This is kind of the beginning. Even Warren Buffett said he expected 3 to 4 more banks to fail. What's actually going on that's making this happen? A lot of people are blaming it on the banks, thinking that it's another 2008 scenario. In 2008, the banks invested in risky stuff. They actually didn't this time. This one was a chance of this happening, like all the planets lined up, but they happened to line up. And so what the banks did do is they did some riskier loans, but they did some, as in a small amount, and then they took the remaining of their money and offset that, like any investment advisor would, with extremely long-term, safe bonds, and 99% of the time that would work. Unless you have a Fed chairman that raises rates at an all-time fast rate in 1 year, and then those long-term bonds get hammered because of the inverted yield curve scenario. And then the bank is forced to sell them because people start panicking because they see the stock go down, because when the price of the bonds go down, the price of the stocks go down at the bank. And then it starts to run, and then the rest is history. So, this is what happens when you do what the Fed's done.
Yeah, well, the Fed's doing this, of course, because the federal government spending was out of control in and after COVID, and they had to get inflation down. The only tool they have, of course, is to raise rates. So could they have done anything different, or did they have to react the way they did because of the insane amount of spending? We've talked about this before on your show. They could have done something extremely different. They could have started earlier and done the same thing over a longer period of time. So it's kind of like, if you got to go up a hill that's 40 feet high, that's one thing. But if it's a wall, it's a whole different deal. So if they had started raising rates earlier in 2021, when we were talking about that word transitory inflation, which everyone knew was nonsense, if they started raising rates then, you don't think we would have had the issues today that we're having with the banks?
We wouldn't have had as bad. No, we wouldn't have. I thought you were going to say, would we have inflation? We wouldn't have as bad inflation, but I don't think we'd have been having the issue that we're having with banks. And you got to imagine what's going on in the minds of these CEOs of these banks. It's like, geez almighty, what'd you expect us to do? We did the right thing, and then you came back and hit us there. There has been, I think you're going to see also over the next several years, more oversight of banks because the FDIC didn't think they needed to watch as hard as they should have been. And so, but still, at the end of the day, I mean, these guys did what they were supposed to do and invested in long-term bonds that are supposed to pay more than short-term bonds, but not in this environment,
Well, I mean, so what do you tell people right now on Main Street? I mean, should they be worried if their bank goes under, they got money in the bank? I mean, especially people that are using smaller community-based banks. I mean, what should they be thinking, if anything, on this front?
I mean, the banks don't really want to hear two things, but, I'm not here for the banks. I'm here for the consumer, and that is, one, if you've got any sizable amount of money in a bank, over $20,000, First thing, and we've seen a ton of this, you should be making at least 3 to 4% on it. If you're making 0.3%, you need to get the bank to get their head out of, and get that money making money, because you can do that now on liquid money. Number two is, if I've seen clients come in that have $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 in a single bank, in a single account. I don't know that I would do that right now. I'd spread it out between banks, not between accounts, but between banks, and people can go to the FDIC's website and look at the rules of what covers and what's not covered. It's a very simple thing to find out. And, another thing, we talk heavily about different types of safe accounts that have traditionally had a better track record than banks over time. And that's something that we're doing a lot with our clients.
All right. And last thing, Mark, with the inflation number this morning, 3.2%. Some people are going to do cartwheels over this. It's still 50% higher than the Fed target at 2%. How does the Fed react to this? How do you think? I haven't looked at the market yet this morning to see how it's reacted thus far. Actually, Dow's up 400 points. So I guess they think that things are trending in the right direction. I don't know if that's just a little bump for the morning or where it goes from here, but what do you think?
I think it's trending in the right direction. I think it's a possibility that I can't believe I'm actually saying this, but we might actually, if we continue on the route we're on, we might see what would it be the third time of a soft-ish landing. And nobody more surprised than me. I will tell you this. I will take my hat off to Jerome Powell if he does it, because it's looking like it's trending, and he hasn't sent the economy down. Look at employment right now. It's trending in the right direction. I think we might see a Fed meeting where they may not raise or lower. They may stay the same. If they do any move, it's going to be up. They're not going to take rates down yet. Believe me, I check on this all the time. I want to know when a rate's going to go down. I wouldn't say that's going to happen for at least 18 months.
Okay.
Or start stabilizing, yeah.
Okay. Well, Mark, thank you for the insight. Thanks for hopping on here last minute to react to these stories over the last 12 hours or so. We always appreciate the time and the insight.
Hey, appreciate it, man. Thanks.
You as well. That is Mark Falter. Good to have him on the show.